We are live now. Good afternoon, everyone. School Journal of Education and SchoolReformer.com welcomes today's speaker, Ms. Rokeya Rahim Riya. The duration of the topic is around 20 minutes. Today's topic is Impact of Assessment on Learners and Teachers. During or after the talk, please post your questions in the QA box, which you will see below the video screen. Ms. Speaker, you can start your talk now, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ms. Rokeya Rahim Riya, and currently I'm working in Abdul Qadir Mall International School that is based in Northampton, Bangladesh. So I'm working there as English Language and Literature faculty of IBDP. Along with that, I'm working as TOK coordinator. So that's everything I can talk about my current position and my actual work field. And on top of that, I'm an enthusiast educator who loves to explore the teachings and strategies to bring a better outcome for the learners and also take a chance for learning from the learners. That's why I'm going to talk about the impact of assessment on teachers and learners. Because we know that learners and teachers, they are just the two actually components that are interconnected for bringing any actually outcome that is going to be impacting the learner's facial life, also impacting teacher's facial life. So let's dive into today's discussion. Okay, so could you consider actually it's a situation where students learn actually what we teach. So we believe that what we're teaching to the students, they learn. But do they learn everything? What's your opinion? I think your opinion might be different from mine, but still there is a gray area where we can actually focus on. So if they actually learn what we are teaching as per the expectation of the teachers or the stakeholders like parents and the school, then there is no need of assessment, right? So we can catalog their achievements and showing that they have learned all these things. So now look into the next slide where I want to focus on the general understanding of the assessment. Assessment is not only applicable in educational field, it is also applicable in other fields. So we talk about health assessment, psychological assessment, whether your well-being is tracked and everything. But systematically, we understand assessment is a actually process where we collect and we review and we use the information about educational programs. It is undertaken for the purpose of improving student learning and development. Where student development is concerned, the assessment is working as actually finding the gap between the learning and actually the goal, what we have seen for the particular task. Now, I want to go for the further actually focus on what should I say, universal division of the assessment. Basically, when we talk about assessment, we try to categorize it broadly to two actually different things, that is summative assessment and formative assessment. So who are actually educators, they have there's actually first understanding of summative and formative assessment. So why summative assessment?
Sorry to
Until
interrupt you, Rokeya.
yes,
Sorry to interrupt you. Are you switching between slides, ma'am? Because are we still in the first slide only?
no, we have moved up to third slide.
No, ma'am. We didn't go to the second slide either because on the screen it's showing first slide only. Can you put your cursor? I don't know whether you have selected it or not.
Now, is it there in the third slide, summative and formative assessment?
It's not. It's still there in the first.
Okay. Now is it there, summative and formative?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So as we have been speaking about summative and formative, this summative assessment is intended to check what the students have learned after completing a particular unit. So it is basically a broad spectrum where we can see And we can actually, what should I say, define this in short term, that it is assessment of learning, what the students have learned. So this is actually high stake exam with a high point value. But now what we talk about, like until 20 years ago, we all are actually accustomed to the exam system that is basically summative. After 6 months or 3 months, we need to go for sitting in the exam. And that actually gives many of the students actually uneasiness, nervousness, leading to exam phobia. But nowadays, formative assessment or assessment for learning is an approach that is appreciated by all the educators. And that has actually paved the path for learning process in a very confident way, where students are getting confident when they are learning, and they know what the standard they have to actually meet when they are performing this assessment. But my objection is a bit different here. So can we just say that the summative assessment and formative assessment is just two component completely different, or whether there is chance to actually combining these two elements and saying that the actually binary opposite of summative and formative is not actually the function of the formative assessment. So let's look into that. Here, I think we can understand the process for easy actually perception of what is summative and what is formative. So when the chef is testing the soup, is formative assessment. But when the guest is testing the soup, that time it is summative assessment, the end product, and that is the ongoing product. Okay. Now, as the impact of assessment is concerned, so we speak about students actually understanding and students actually being active in their learning process, as they must have voice and choice when they are learning. But how to find out and how to work according to the planning? So first, we need to understand where the learner is now in that current situation. And then we have to think forward where the learner is going. And the second step should be how to get there. This three is like interconnected, and we cannot separate one from the other. So now let's look into the things. So wisely, Albert Einstein said that make things simple, possibly, but no simpler. That means when we are actually making any test for formative or summative, it shouldn't be in a way that is not challenging the students' current understanding, current level, and we can tally with the actually prominent linguist Krashen's monitor model, where he showed that the students' current knowledge should be questioned in a way or challenged in a way. The input we are giving, that should be one step up from the input that he has already assimilated. So here, when we are looking into the strategies of formative assessment, the learning intention should be clear for the students and the teachers. Why the students should learn something? What is the objective of any particular chapter or any particular unit that has to be elaborated to teacher and also from the teacher to the students. Otherwise, I have actually observed in many classes till now, in many of this actually classes, the students don't know what is going to be taught. The teacher has no actually prior planning before entering the class. Even after the teacher is there, the teacher is quite actually unaware that he or she has to clarify the points that he has, like objectives, aims, and goals. Otherwise, the student's understanding and teacher understanding of the unit has a gulf of difference. What your intention as a teacher and the student's intention as a receiver or an active learner is somehow missing. So if we can actually implement this way, that where the learner is going, where the learner is right now, and there are certain steps we can actually follow so that they can actually take scaffolding from the process. They can actually take positive feedback, positive gain from the entire process. So where the learner is going and where the learner is at, there's something I have actually categorized under each thing. So clarifying, sharing, and understanding learning intention, where learner is right now. So if we can have simulated or actually discussion for the students and can give some conference type of thing for discussion among them, so we can elicit evidence of learning where the student is currently actually standing, where he's lacking or where he is actually performing well. So then the third thing, that where how he has to go to the certain goals, to certain levels, that has been feedback that moves learning forward. So feedback is quite a actually heavy term. So we often use feedback, but feedback entails so many things. Quality feedback is concerned here. So what I'm giving feedback, that should be quality actually ensured, that my feedback shouldn't hurt the student's ego, or I'm not actually giving feedback in a way it is ego focused, not the task focused. So it is prone to human nature. We are sometimes making actually comments and all, and that should be euphemized. That should be actually positively framed. Okay. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Thank you. So when actually the learning environment is concerned, when learning actually is happened or occurred to the students, the environment actually ensures many things, many factors. So there are so many actually theories talking about the students' mental state. A student might not learn so many things in a day. So need to actually fragment for the students' well-being and their home environment, their mental state, where they are fed, unfed, or whether they have any difficult times. So many things are actually concerned with the process of learning, as we are actually looking for the end product, that what I'm giving as a teacher, why my student is failing to meet my expectation. So that high level of expectation. So recently what happened, one of my student actually, he is actually A-level student, got published. So as a teacher, my expectation was, okay, he is about to get A, but his result actually somehow disheartened me. But then I actually try to understand from his point of view, if my situation is like that, so what is his case? So trying to normalize the situation for the students, that end product is not everything. The process is actually something that matters most, the process of learning. So here, how students can learn better. So in actually assessment for learning or formative assessment, where we actually think that a student has greater say in questioning, and it is not only that close-ended question, it can be open-ended question. So why open-ended question? Open-ended question gives you more creativity when you're answering. Say example, as I'm teaching literature or TOK. So here they have vast scope to interpret their understanding in different layers of meaning. So I'm teaching Macbeth. So some of the students got three witches from Macbeth. Is quite fascinating. Like they are fantasizing and visualizing the three witches from Macbeth. So the thing is, these actually questioning is very important for them. So and make the actual environment in a way that they feel valued. Their voice is actually being heard. So one student from came from Kuwait recently, and she joined me from a different curriculum, and she was sharing that in my class I didn't have any actual freedom to ask question to my teacher. Why? Only time I used to get actually any scope to ask question when the teaching process is done. After that, if I had any question, that should be topic related, not out of the actually topic. So they were kind of feeling intimidated of the situation. So that was a learning thing for me, whether I need to tweak my teaching method according to the environment. So again, coming to the feedback, in actually assessment for learning or formative assessment, the feedback, I have already mentioned about that feedback cannot be actually judging about a student's performance with other students' performance. So that is norm reference. So nowadays we try to categorize and labeling things like criterion reference, where we try to focus on the task, and that has to be assessed on the actually criteria of the following band score that we say. So that should be the norm, in a way that sometimes when the initial students face when they are learning something, they are always actually full of anxiety. They are thinking that whether I'm doing good, I'm doing bad, teacher is not actually giving me any comment or any grade. So when you are giving grade or mark, that time they feel sometimes that, okay, I'm getting less marks from my other friends. And actually these hampers their learning process. They feel that I'm a fool, I'm not getting better score. So that situation actually can be helped in a way that we can only focus on the comment initially in the language class. We do, but we try to ignore some mistake to make them feel confident or powered, in a way that you have the you are now tracking down the process of language learning. You are you're going to be an expert. So in that way, only we can focus on the comment. And task-specific goals. So students have to be aware about their goals of the task. And we can actually abbreviate it in that word in a SMART goals. So I know that what SMART means is specific, measurable, achievable, time-bound, and all these things. So the students, when can see, as a teacher, we might have a huge plan to incorporate all the elements in one class. So that might be actually impossible sometimes. So that's why you need to understand, we need to actually work on our own, whether the task I'm setting for the particular class can be covered up in that class. If not, what can be my actually backup plan? Or if I can actually cross the plan and I have time in my hand, what should be my actually plan for after class? So this way we can actually work in a way so that the class that we have tried to implement, or the strategy we have tried to implement, or the unit that should be covered, is quite actually in aligned with the students actually learning environment or learning style. Now, independent learning. When I'm saying that independent learning, it doesn't mean that they have the independence to do anything and everything, but they have the independence to actually talk about their actual curiosity, to talk about their further questions, actually query. When we talk about the independent learning, some of the actually teachers oppose that not all the classes can be set in independent learning mode. They said that it is actually a waste of time. So then I thought might be their perspective is right in their own way. But my experience is that when the class has the independence, they feel empowered. They can actually come with their actually plan to help and to actually accelerate the outcome of the class. Now, peer assessment, it same goes for the peer assessment. So when actually the zone of proximal development says that a student or the learner can learn in a certain age up to certain level to ensure the better outcome or better learning. So we can actually plan the class in a way that will be enacting peer assessment or actually group work, peer work. So when their peers are assessing their work, that time they actually understand where they are lacking. And from actually their peer, they have no actually inertia to ask question. that they think that the teachers might consider me that I'm down. And you know that many brilliant students or the toppers, they have these actually apprehension most. They think that if I ask any silly question, I will sound very, what should I say? And actually, it will be very unwanted situation for me. My teacher will judge me, my friends will judge me. So this mentality has no place in this situation. So they can work with their peers and they can actually follow the strategy of think, pair, and share. They can follow some other actually strategies where they can actually come with their plans and then thoughts. They're actually understanding. Okay. Now, as I was saying that formative use of school test, uh, my opinion was quite actually, what should I say, a bit different in a way that formative and summative is not something standing in the binary opposites, like formative segregated from summative. No, we can actually use summative test as also formative test. It is a function that actually will be working as formative. Like a student has actually sit for exam, that is a term exam, but the teacher can give them a pair of work and assessing each other's paper, and then coming up where they have to improve, where there is further chance for writing in better way. So that can help them. So we can talk about the school test can be actually function in a formative way. So there is no actually strict or straight jacket formula that it has to be formatted in that way. It has to be submitted in a particular way. Now, if we go to the next slide, we can we can see that metacognition is a term that is widely used now. Students actually have the understanding how to think or describe thinking about thinking. That means they have to, they see, some of the students are auditory learner or audiovisual learner. Learner differs from one to another. So when a student is immersed in the classroom and they feel valued, they will try to discover which way they learn better. So they will be sharing this actually discovery or their actually own understanding from the teachers too. So see, it's a mind. I have seen many of my students who failed and who are actually smiling. It doesn't matter. It's just a test. See, next exam I will be the topper. So this is actually mindset. If one of the examples I have given like that, another example can be a student who is actually consistently doing better. Somehow he didn't actually score better in some exam. So if he has a mindset that, okay, I'm doomed for ever, I have done worse in this exam, that means my reputation is now at stake. So this metacognition can help the students to actually understand how they learn better, and they can actually come with their skill, and they can actually share the conceptual understanding they have derived after actually reading any tough and complicated chapter, and they can share with their peers how they have tried to assimilate those learning in his or her own way. It can be, he can be a resource for the other students. So now, when we say that the students and teachers, they are not actually some separate entity. Are the two interconnected entity. Not just at that, the rubrics that we are actually used for assessment should be or needs to be co-constructed, only not only by the teacher but also with the students. So why the rubrics is there? So we can do that. We can provide samples to the students and taking their votes, which rubrics are good and how it can be uh, actually implemented or it can be modified. and we can actually let them be actually valuable part. So when we talk about that formative test, that time students actually their status is also updated. I think that we have understood and we have deemed them not only a passive receiver of the knowledge, and teachers sometimes feel apprehended that, okay, my status is now a sort of that, okay, I need to actually listen my talking time and giving more the student actually centered time. So many of the teachers said that this curbs my freedom as a teacher. But see, the thing is, when teachers and students they work parallelly and co-construct their rubrics and letting the students know the criteria and the expectation and the goals and how they have to work to reach there, that time it is a far easier task for the students and for the teachers. So they know how they will be assessed. In many curriculums and many exams, and even in my countries, so I have seen many curriculums actually working here, and we did many case study. We did many actually as a language teacher and a student of actually ELT. I also did some research and found out that the teacher's expectation and the student's expectation is not meeting. So teachers don't know what they're teaching sometimes. Even they're not ready for the implementation of new strategy. They don't have enough trainings. So that entail, what can be the consequences of such scenario. So if we give the authority of this actually empowerment to the students as being important factor in constructing the rubrics, then I think they understand the assessment process better. Okay, then there is no paradox in observer and the receiver. So now, if we try to encapsulate things that, yeah.
Ms. Rokeya, sorry to interrupt you. As we are running out of time, it's already 1 o'clock, and we have a couple of questions lined up posted by the audience. If
Okay.
You would like
Fine.
to take them. Thank you.
Sure. Is the questions?
Yeah, I will read out those to you. Those are posted on the website. I have the access to them. So will you close the PPT, or like you want to quickly finish off the
No, sure.
slides?
I'm closing.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. So you covered actually almost all questions, like in one point and another, but I would like to read out the questions to you. The first question goes like this: can you share insights on the balance between summative and formative assessments in promoting holistic learning?
Okay. Could you please repeat the question?
Yeah. Can you share insights on the balance between summative and formative assessments in promoting holistic learning?
Okay. In terms of holistic learning, the balance of summative and formative. We can actually see the things in a way. Summative assessment is needed. There's no doubt about this. But formative assessments are actually helping the students to actually going for the mission, ultimate mission. And we can actually compare formative assessment as particular goals that we're fulfilling to go for the larger mission, that is the summative assessment. So when the students got actually better grades in formative assessment, they have the sense of achievement, sense of fulfillment. And teachers feel the same. Teachers feel that I have given instruction that is working better for my students, and that's why they are doing better, bringing better score. So the balance is like, what should I say? Like the two sides of the coin. Okay, so we need both to have the actually holistic development of the students.
All right, ma'am. So what challenges do teachers face in accurately assessing diverse learners with varying needs?
Yeah, dealing with diverse learners is actually, what should I say, mammoth task, and it needs much more planning, then we usually go for learners that actually belong to the same categories. For that, we need to plan differentiated learning. And I think recently we did one thing, that we tried to do a needs analysis of the students, and we try to cater them in different actually groups and send them for their additional support after school. So, and in a way, they should not know what leveling we're for. Because when we're saying that this is the actually toppers class, this is the actually, what should I say, beginners class, in a way, they think that, okay, I am a topper, I am in this class, so I don't need to actually compete with them. So these actually hampers their learning actually goals. Okay, so this should not be level. So if we can actually try to manage this way, or try to separate the class, not actually letting them know in which actually basis we have done the deviation, or we can do for placement test, that can help them to address the actually diverse learners needs.
Thank you, ma'am. In your opinion, how might technology be leveraged to enhance assessment practices for both students and teachers?
Okay, technology as helping to enhance students and teachers' assessment. Is it the question?
Yes, yes.
Okay. See, nowadays technology has actually decreased our task in so many ways that we can actually use Google Form, we can use so many other forms, quizzes, and other so many actually things. That is definitely reducing the task on the teacher's shoulder. So you can set something, and this will determine where the students got in something, and in some actually
Ma'am, are you there? Miss Rokeya, are you there? Miss
the
Rokeya, can
teachers. But everything has pros and cons. What should I say? Adopt unfairness.
Miss Rokeya, are you there?
Yes, yes, I'm here.
I think for a minute, I think we have lost you. Can you repeat your answer, please? Sorry.
Yes, where I have probably talking about the technology, right?
Yes.
Okay. See, technology has made a teacher's job easier. We have so many things like Google Site, where we are sharing the resources. We have so many scopes like assessing students, what should I say, particular task, and assessing students' understanding by Google form, and so many things. But I'm saying that everything has pros and cons, right? So technology has empowered the students and also empowered the teachers. So they have the chance to adopt unfairness to, and see copying and pasting, plagiarism is factored there. That's why sometimes I do one thing. In my class, I said that this test is not the test of actually understanding or measuring how much you learn from the book or from this unit. Rather, it is a test for your actually honesty and integrity. How much honest and how much actually integrity you have when you're answering the question. I'm going to look for that. And I say this, see, there will be Turnitin report. So it will tell me from where you have taken this if you are not acknowledging the source. So this is the thing we do, actually make it fun. And I told my students, I see, don't be normal, okay? As see, normal, everything trying to be typical and normal. I think the teachers know they are no less than actually actor and actress. They know which actually strategy work for his or her students. So it actually comes within the ages. So I think I actually answered the question that you raised.
Right. So what's your take on ChatGPT, ma'am?
My take on ChatGPT is, yeah, see, as for the actually students looking for the information and getting to know how it can rephrase and other resources, it is helpful. But uh, it can be actually, what should I say, that implicitly uh, destroying their creative faculty. As I saw a grade 3 learners, um, he is trying to look for the answer, the question that is given by his teacher. So he's using that, and that shocked me. If he's used to that situation or that actually side, so he will not actually grow the capacity of thinking, creative thinking, or actually uh, thinking for what should I say, um, for any purpose, right? He will be reliant on the chat GPT or any app.
Right, ma'am. So, what role does cultural sensitivity play in designing assessments that are fair and inclusive for all learners?
What role cultural sensitivity plays in devising?
In designing assessments that are fair and inclusive for all learners?
Okay. Uh, Being culturally sensitive is a must. I know that if we look into IB, we can see that, okay, broad-minded, open-minded, or being sensitive to other culture. So in that way, when we are actually devising questions or we are trying to devise materials, uh, that should actually be in a way that where I am working. See, if I'm teaching in a very conservative society, I'm sorry for my word conservative, that time I have to think what can be the aftermath of the lesson. So that's why appropriate to the culture, society, so that their
Ma'am, I think I lost you again. Are you there?
elicit any particular say in term instead of doing something. I think I was lost again.
Yeah, no problem. I'm moving as because of the time crunch, we will move to the last but not the least. How do you foresee the future of assessment evolving and what implications might this have for learners and teachers?
I think that recent studies are showing that nowadays assessment should be sustainable. Okay. So sustainable assessment says that what learner is actually learning in the class, that that actually concept, the skill that should be taken forwarded to execute in their later life, whether it can be engineering field, any field, whatever they're learning, they need to internalize those things. Now, as we see that many engineers, they have they have studied in a field, but they are working in some other fields. But what they read, what they studied, they just forgot as they think that they no longer need it. So I think it should not be in a way. The assessment should be sustainable and it should be actually helping the students to close the gap between the learning and that learning needs to be implemented in life. It should not be like before exam at the 11th hour preparation and forgetting everything after vomiting in the exam. So I think it is not a good practice. The assessment should be sustainable.
Right, right,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
I agree with you. So that ends the question answer round. Before we end this session, School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions, ma'am.
Thank
I
you.
just want to ask you any message for the Indian educators from Bangladesh?
Yes. So I think that there is a chance for learning from each other, collaborating, and I'm working in an environment where we have so many Indian colleagues. So I literally feel that they are good at collaboration and we have many things in common. So I think that we are not different. We are just same. So educators everywhere. So thanks to everyone for giving me chance to share my a small knowledge or insight with you.
Yes, ma'am. We enjoyed the session and it was very informative. We also thank the audience for participating in the event and posting their questions. We end the session now. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.